just about to go live here at 1 p.m. Eastern from Orlando Convention Center here at the very front of the 2019 InfoComm Show. As you can see, it's quite busy. We're here at the PTZOptics and HuddleCam booth here, and we're about to give you guys a tour of the 2019 InfoComm Show. If you didn't get a chance to make it to this show, this is one of the largest audiovisual shows in the world here in Orlando, Florida. We are live, and it is the 2019 InfoComm Show. Right here is the PTZOptics booth. We are going to interview James Page from Vimeo Livestream, so we're really excited about that. Let's take a look at the booth. So this year, what we wanted to do is take you guys a little bit behind the scenes on what we have here from a live streaming perspective, and you guys are going to see how we're taking you live from the showroom for mobilely using a LiveU Solo, but also having the ability to switch to a live streaming set as well. So I want to take you guys through this. This is James Page from Vimeo Livestream.
See you again, Paul.
James, thanks for being here.
Hi, guys.
So James is going to join us for an interview, but first I wanted to take you guys a little bit tour of the booth with James. We're going to talk a little bit about Vimeo and what you guys are offering. Then we're going to sit down and switch to this live streaming system where we have multiple cameras, and we're going to have you like a little bit more of a sit-down interview. Stick around because by 1:30 we're going to take you to the LiveU booth, and we're going to go mobile there, and we're going to take you guys a little bit around the showroom floor. I am going to be receiving text messages from Tess Protesto, our trusty social media manager, so get your questions in on Facebook or YouTube. She'll text them to me, and we'll answer them.
Alrighty.
All right, so James, let's start over here. Tyler's here as well from PoE Texas. How you doing, Tyler? I'm hoping to grab a minute with Tyler from PoE Texas as well. I think he brought us some goodies that we're going to take a look at over here at the main studio.
Okay, you want to move over to the main studio, or I'll just hang out here?
Give us a minute. We're going to do a little run through. I have to interview James, and then right after that, we're going to try to squeeze in Tyler as well because he's got some really cool PoE products. All right. So first of all, I want to take you guys over to the live streaming area. Wanted to show you guys Livestream Studio. So James, everyone's been asking us, Vimeo purchased Livestream Studio. For those customers out there, what can they expect? What's going on?
More for the same money or less, which is free, which is great. So Vimeo acquired Livestream in 2017, and we have been integrating those two platforms. So Vimeo is traditionally known as like the OTT platform, and Livestream obviously for live streaming. Well, now it's all one big family. So live plans now available on Vimeo with some added features. So if you're on a Vimeo premium plan, and obviously it's the same price as the Livestream plan, you get some cool features such as RTMP input, which means you can stream from any encoder, from any source, directly into your Vimeo Live channel. That's all included now, and as part of that plan, you get the Livestream Studio software. So for $75 a month, you get a production switcher, right, which you can run on Windows or Mac, which is pretty cool. That saves you a lot of money.
This software here, Vimeo Livestream, is really one of the most popular live streaming video production softwares in the premium world.
Yep.
And it also includes PTZ camera control. So we worked with Livestream to give these cameras the ability to be controlled directly from Livestream. So if you're a single person or a small team, you can get a pan tilt zoom camera with Livestream Studio and actually be able to control them. So I think that's a really cool option. Just wanted to show that to you. We're demonstrating it here at the 2019 NAB show. We've got a lot of questions for you. I have some prepared questions, so I think we'll just do a quick lap around. I want to show you guys some of the new products, and then we'll go ahead and interview them in our studio. So first of all, for those of you who haven't seen the PTZOptics cameras, this is our Gen 2 model. We have IP control, IP streaming. We support the HDMI, which is also supported in Livestream Studio, HDMI and HD-SDI. So this is really our flagship model here. It does support the NewTek NDI, which so many people have been using with OBS, Wirecast, vMix, Livestream Studio. Really been great. The other thing that is new or newer are our what we call our Z-Cam cameras. So here we have our Z-Cams. We have our super wide angle PTZOptics variable lens Z-Cam. This is our 120-degree field of view. Starts at just $499, and these are great for a live stream studio because you can just plug them in via PoE, one Ethernet port, bring them right into the studio software, control them. Now, if you need a little bit more optical zoom, we have our 20x model, which can, with NDI, starts just a little over 1,000, and then we also have our 12x model as well. So we're showing that actually in our studio on a slider. So I want to show you guys that. And then if we continue around, over here we have our HuddleCam products, which we're going to focus on a live stream tomorrow. So I'm going to leave that kind of where it is. And then really briefly, I wanted to show you guys our studio setup. So before we switch over to the studio, I just want to show us a couple things. One is the network setup. We haven't changed anything from NAB. You guys might have seen this earlier, but we're using literally a $50 router, a $200 28-port PoE switch. For $250 using the NewTek NDI, we've got multiple cameras, systems, the live stream studio software able to connect with all of these, and the infrastructure is a regular gigabit Ethernet switch. So that's what really, I think for a lot of video productions, churches, different people, allows you now to have the infrastructure that's off the shelf from Amazon Ethernet equipment now really extending what you can do. So I think this is really cool. You'll see our IP joystick. I want to show that off. Something that I mentioned before we get into our interview is we do have this 12x Z-Cam slider. Now, James, I remember at the live stream studio 2-3 years ago, you guys had the Mevo cameras on these, and I had to steal the idea. It creates beautiful footage. Let's show them what it looks like. So we've got 4 cameras here, PTZ control, a very standard USB audio interface. This is the Behringer here. Mike, you might need to tweak the gain on these if you think one of the mics needs to be turned up or down, but there's that. Running vMix here on a PTZOptics producer kit. So 4 SDI inputs coming in. You guys will see this on the broadcast, but just take a look at that slider image. Super smooth. We're going to be obviously holding those mics, so we'll maybe move them out of the way a little bit. But a beautiful slider. Mike's going to use that shot. You'll see it live in just a moment. And then finally, this is our IP joystick. So Mike's going to be using this to do some pan, tilt, zoom, set up the shots, and do everything that he needs to as well. So Tess, we're ready to go ahead and switch over to the main feed. So we'll see you guys in just a minute, and we'll take you on another IRL stream in a moment. Down, just so they don't get in the way of the slider. And I'm going to be checking my phone for text messages from the crowd. Tess is kind of looking at those. And this is going to be a fun little interview. Sure. So one of the things I wanted to ask you about was, if you're a small business, I wanted to start with small businesses, entrepreneur, someone trying to get their content out but monetize it. And then after we have that conversation, I want to talk about a bigger business, an enterprise, because I understand that Vimeo can really scale from small businesses upwards. So let's start, and by the way, we're live. If you're out there on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, or Periscope, there's a lot of them out there, Facebook, send your comments in. We want to hear from you guys, so let us know what you guys are interested in from James here and Vimeo Live, and Tess is going to text them to me, and we'll be able to answer those questions. So let's start with the small business.
Sure.
So you're a small business, and let's say you're a video production company, and your client wants you to help them monetize their live streaming situation, whether it's live video or on-demand video. What is it like as a small business working with Vimeo?
Easy. I think we are the easy button when it comes to live streaming and OTT monetization. Prior to or outside of Vimeo, a lot of the other solutions you either have to hire, a consultant and a company to put all these pieces together, or you have to build it yourself. Whether that's managing your own CDN, managing your own ad sales, managing your own payment gateways, managing taxes, and all of those kind of things. Vimeo provides you that on one single platform. So whether you're selling OTT content, which is if you own your content. A very easy way to monetize that is basically we can either do it through a web or through Apple, Android, you name it, even Samsung TVs. You can set up payment gateways and landing pages so people can browse your content and either purchase on-demand content or subscribe. So we have some pretty big brands out there, including like Martha Stewart and Playboy, where they launched their own branded app on all of those platforms, and subscribers just pay, whatever it is per month to have access to all of their content. So if you want to run your own little Netflix, you can. And the pricing model is really straightforward. And the risk is minimal because you're not having to pay any of those expensive startup costs to do with developing your own app or developing your own platform, because we have them all ready to go. You just template them, make them look, give it your brand and look and feel. On the live side, that's pay-per-view is very popular in live, especially for sports. And we can do some pretty cool things with payment gateways and geofencing and things to it, whereby you as the content producer just have to worry about creating a great show and and promoting it. And then the revenue is dead easy to monetize live streams too. So whether you're on the OTT or the live side, pretty much both same things apply to generate revenue, other than just using free platforms whereby you get a small percentage of ads that they choose to insert, right? And that's the big difference. I think brands, especially companies, whether you own your own brand or you're running your own business, controlling the message is key. And so having a third-party platform inject what might be a competitor's ad in your stream, not so good, right? So that's why we like to keep a very tight ecosystem, and you control, how that branding and advertising works.
Very interesting. So we talked about that the branding, the monetization capabilities. Now let's talk a little bit about, let's say you're a larger business, you're an enterprise.
Right.
Maybe monetizing the stream is not necessarily your number one goal.
Right.
We're talking more about corporate education, communications. Let's talk a little bit about on that side of things. Here we are at InfoComm.
Yeah.
Lots of audiovisual engineers, technologies, but also a lot of big companies coming here to improve efficiencies.
Yep.
On that side of things, what can you tell us about Vimeo?
Yeah, so two parts of that, inside and outside. So corporate communications, as companies are evolving, and now not everybody's in the same building, right? Which traditionally you were bricks and mortar and you had one building. Now you have to communicate with employees that may be in different buildings on the same campus, different states, different countries, different time zones. That level of internal communication is now becoming priority for these companies to fix, to keep that culture the same of being a tight company in that close-knit environment. So having, a streaming solution where you've got like great PTZ cameras which you can control, full production from anywhere through a browser or a Windows or Mac computer, really allows that company to keep that culture going without having to have everybody in the same space. And we at Vimeo, I like that. It's a horrible phrase, but I like to use it, which is eat your own dog food. I think 9 times out of 10, I communicate with people at the company, even though I'm remote, through video. I don't even have a phone, right? So that's changing. Just being able to instantly click and launch something. And then on the outbound, companies would traditionally have to hire an ad agency or a broadcaster or buy satellite time to do a product launch. I think Apple, one of the first companies that really said, you know what, we're just going to go straight to the consumer over the internet. We're not going to rely on broadcasters like Bloomberg and the news agencies cutting down our keynote to their news hour. We're going to just do the whole thing live to the end user. I mean, you don't even have to be there in person anymore. That is critical now for companies, especially startups, getting their message out. You no longer have to have an expensive production crew or satellite time, as I mentioned, or a broadcaster. You can just do that through some great cameras and some software. So your costs are pretty minimal.
Well, I have to say we've gone from small business to large business. Vimeo seems to have an option for everyone.
Yep.
I think that acquiring live stream really adds a lot of value for getting people ready for live streaming. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else that you want to mention before we wrap it up?
Well, just coincidentally, we launched live graphics.
Really? How does that work?
So when you're producing your live stream, you just open a browser, and from there you'd normally monitor, you can normally do things like monitoring the health of your stream, where that stream is going, because not only are you streaming to Vimeo, you can also simulcast to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, all those other social. That's another point, is especially for the smaller businesses, you don't want to just be on necessarily one platform, because you're going to have to find your audience in multiple places. So the fact that we can simulcast that content to all of these different platforms simply through a browser is cool.
Wow.
But now, whilst you're doing that, you can also do live graphics. So logos, animated text, animated graphics, all that kind of stuff within the browser. No longer do you need a separate computer or a separate piece of graphics software to do lower thirds, bugs, tickers, clocks, all that kind of stuff that people like to have on their feed. And obviously you can feed that with data too, right? So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how people use it, because what I'm looking forward to, I come from like traditional broadcast background, where most broadcasters have the same look and feel, right? They have the same ticker, they have the same lower third, they have the same way of doing presentations. Now we're having creative people come to doing live streaming that don't come from that background. I think people are going to come up with some really cool stuff that we haven't seen before. And I hope that maybe feeds back into broadcasting too, that we might mix it up a little bit with how things are presented. And the content's changing, so why not change the presentation style to go with it?
Well, you heard it here first. Vimeo live stream now has live graphics in the cloud. That is so cool. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.
Appreciate it. All right, well, stick around, because Tyler from PoE Texas is going to show us a couple new products, and then we're going to go over to the live stream, or the LiveU booth, and we're going to do that. So stick around, and we'll take you there in just a moment. All right, bye, everybody. Just stick around. We'll be right there. All right. And we are back. Here we go. We've got Tyler from PoE Texas, and Tyler's going to show us some cool new stuff. Plus, we're going to take you live to the LiveU booth and any other booth, by the way, that you guys are interested in checking out. Mike, which camera are we looking at? Got it. Okay. Our Tyler lights didn't get set up today. So, Tyler, tell us a little bit about your company and what you're doing. Remember, keep it, Mike, real close.
Real close. All right. Well, I'm with PoE Texas. We met your audience at NAB, which was an awesome party, by the way. For those of you who missed the Streaming Idiots party, that was fantastic. It was a great party. It was a lot of fun. And then, so at PoE Texas, we do all things PoE. In fact, I have the PoE.
Wow, that is such a cool shirt. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yes, so we do all things power over Ethernet. We do the switches. We do mid-spans. And for those of you who don't know what mid-spans are a way to add PoE or upgrade your PoE if you already have it, but you need more power. And we do some very specialty switches. Like I was bringing back Matt a 4-port switch that's really cool because it's layer 2, manageable, but down on a 4-port configuration, which is really unique because a lot of those layer 2 managed switches, you're talking some big giant rack mount, but it allows you to do NDI compatibility on a very small form factor for a small studio. And that's really, we're very excited about that. So we're showing that to a couple people here at InfoComm today. In fact, I'm going to be swinging by the NDI booth and double checking to see how some of the testing's going. So I'm getting some guys to test it out to see if that's working well. So
I see that you've brought us a couple toys. Let's take a look, because at InfoComm, we not only have a lot of Pro AV people who are looking for tools to check PoE levels, learn about PoE. They're installing PoE systems for their clients. So let's see what you have here.
Well, I've got our PoE tester. This is a real traditional. This is one thing we're really well known for. What's very exciting about it is it's getting a facelift on the screen. A lot of the feedback customers gave us where they were tired of seeing the small scrolling. So we've updated the screen. All the information is on the screen. And
check this out.
There we go. The beautiful Z-Cam is taking a look at it. And so what that'll allow you to do is measure your power and measure your volts with one cable pass through for your device. And that's a really handy tool. Now, this is my favorite part. If you haven't seen this tool before, my favorite part is it says right on the front, no batteries. No batteries necessary. This is one of those things that you really want to make sure you avoid batteries, because this will go in your toolbox. Like, I'll be frank, this will go in your toolbox. It'll sit there for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 2 months. You won't need it. And then one day, you'll need it.
Yep.
And I don't know about you, but every time I pull out a tool that's been sitting in a toolbox for 6 months, the batteries are dead. And that's when you don't need dead batteries. So, on that note, we have a new product I'm testing out that I'm very excited about. And it is a power pack that is PoE enabled. What this device does is you charge it up, you power it on, and it does PoE power out of this port, and it does a Wi-Fi signal that you can connect to your phone.
Really?
So you could do 12 volts, you could do USB power, or you could do PoE power. And the idea behind this is you're setting up a new camera in a new area. You're not sure if it gets you the view or the perspective that you want. The last thing you want to do is to try and run the cable and get everything out to that spot. Take a short jumper cable, stick that camera where you want it, power it up, see the view on your phone. If it doesn't work, you pull it down, you move it over, you do what you need to do. And this allows you to get that all done without having to run a home run cable all the way back to your IDF, your server room, whatever you need. So,
wow. This seems like a really great little product. Let me show this on the slider here. By the way, one of the things that I learned that is really cool about the PTZOptics cameras is that you can view the video feed on an iPad or an iPhone. There's a new, apparently, NDI app for viewing NDI sources.
Yes.
So something like this, you'd plug it in, connect to the Wi-Fi on your phone, and I would imagine you'd be able to quickly view the camera.
Yeah, you could view it on, you could even view this on an iPad. And so with that, and I've done the testing with the Zcam, PTZOptics to an iPad, works like a charm. And
Beautiful.
It gets beautiful resolution. You have a little bit of control. And that gives you the real chance to troubleshoot, to set up and do what you're doing without having to have all that fixed infrastructure in place.
Wow. That is so cool. I'm so glad you were able to jump on the show today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Tyler from PoE Texas. The next thing we're going to do, you can stick around with us if you'd like, we're going to go ahead and walk to our... we're going to take a walk around the booth, show people everything, and then we're going to head over to the LiveU booth. So we can go ahead and put that backpack on, and we're going to wait a second. Tess is going to switch in the cloud, which I find so mind-blowing, from this RTMP stream, which is streaming our studio, to a LiveU backpack, and then we can go mobile in the same stream. So
really? That's
a little bit
amazing.
Mind-blowing, but we're really excited. So Tess is going to go ahead and switch over to that, and then we... if you want, you can come along with us, but we're going to go ahead and go mobile now and take people on an exciting InfoComm tour of some of your favorite booths. So Tess is out there, and I'm assuming she's checking everything. Text me when we're ready, and we're going to go ahead and move over to our mobile stream. So let's give it a second, Michael, because I know that... Telly. All right, guys, we're going to take you to the 2019 LiveU booth. Let's go ahead. Sorry, a lot of times there's a lot of talking, a lot of chit-chatting action, but I'm super excited to take you guys to the LiveU booth. George Klippel is going to show us... let me just straighten this out a little. There we go. I think that's good. All right, so we're mobile. We're live. You might be wondering how we're doing all of this. We're using Go Easy Live in the cloud to switch between. Let me just do one more adjustment. Make sure this is perfect for everybody. Voop. Oh, too much. All right, and that should be good. Okay, so I believe the LiveU booth is over this way, and we're going to go ahead and check it out. Let's go. So the 2019 InfoComm Show marks a change in the industry that is really wide-sweeping, which is IP video, IP control, whether it's the new tech NDI or Dante. So much is happening over IP. So is it this way? I want you guys to let me know what you want to see. What are your questions? What do you want to see from the 2019 NAB show or InfoComm show? And one of the really fun things we're going to do is find and stop by whichever booths you guys really want to see. So we have to find LiveU. I do not know where they are. So if we find anything cool, we'll stop by and spend a moment there. So if there's anything that catches your eye, just chat us and we'll stop by. Have you been there yet or no?
I have not been there.
Okay. Maybe Tess can look at the map and tell us where we're going.
I'll call Tess. You want me to call?
Yeah, sure. We're just peeking around looking for LiveU. I know that this is a fun show for them, so they're really excited about it. There's Taiwan, Proco. I thought you said they were close. And anything you guys want to see, by the way, this is the time to have us stop at a really cool, any of these cool live streaming booths. Here is Blue Jeans here. Blue Jeans is a great company for video conferencing. So here's Blue Jeans, boom. And let's just keep looking around here.
Can you find me where the LiveU booth is?
We will find the LiveU booth. Oh, this is... Ooh! While we're trying to find out where the LiveU... Is it this way? We'll take a peek at... This is the Google booth here, showing Gmail, Docs, Drive, all the cool stuff there. And we're going to find this LiveU booth, trust me, and it's going to be awesome.
4372.
4372. Okay, we're really close. That helps, because we're at 44 now. So 4372, I think, is over this way. All right, so that's 44.
In 4 minutes.
Oh man, it's got to be right around here. 4372. All right, this is 44. Let's look. So this is 4377. Here we are. Here we are at the LiveU booth. We made it. Okay. Here we go. So we made it, and LiveU, are we recording, by the way?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So LiveU is going to show us some of the things that they have here at our booth. Feel free to ask questions in the chat room, and I will get them here from Tess. She's going to text us any of your questions. But let's show everybody what's going on here at the LiveU booth. So, Jennifer, do you mind if we take a look at what you're showing us? How's it going? George Klippel, everyone from LiveU is here. How you doing?
How are you? Nice to see you. It's great. Great to have you. Thank you.
So, George, I know you released a lot of new products at NAB, and I wonder if we could do a refresher for our audience and show them what you have here.
Yeah, so today we're actually showing off 3 of our products. One, which was new at NAB, the LU300, but we're also showing the LU600. We're showing the LiveU Solo as well. So we've got a whole bunch of stuff that's showing off, and Scott is over there on the laptop, and he's showing, right now I'm actually showing the brand new graphics interface for the LiveU Solo. We're showing LiveU Solo graphics, which was something that we've had out for a while, and a lot of people have, at this show in particular, have been asking about the real-time graphics interface that we do in the cloud, and that's for our Solo users. He actually just switched away from that, but that's the new cloud graphics for the Solo, which is, that's right there. So what it is with the LiveU Solo in the portal, we actually have the ability, and actually I should say it's also for our users of the higher end gear too, in the LU300 and the LU600. They can get real-time graphics in the cloud, which is really neat, and that's what a lot of people have been asking about today at this show in particular. So with the Solo, I was just doing a demo of the LiveU graphics in the cloud. So the other thing we're showing off now, Scott, if you don't mind shooting over back to the new LiveU Central, one of the cool and key features of LiveU Central that we introduced at NAB, which is now shipping, is version 8.0 of the software. A completely retooled interface, redesigned from the ground up, which is just amazing. It used to be just tabular. Everything was a tab to get to. Tab to this, tab to that, tab to this. Now it's completely modular, Paul. So everything is really easy for the user to get to. In this interface that Scott's showing, now you can see in one mode, you can see the map view, you can see how your modems are performing. You can actually see everything. Set delay, select your channels, just from going to one screen view. Before, that would take you 5 different tabs to get to, right? So we're really trying to make the experience for the user much, much easier. Now Scott's showing the filters there, but even if you go along the tabs at the top now, you see how we've implemented pull-down windows just to make it much quicker to access the different sections of LiveU Central. And this is version 8 that's shipping now that everybody can get. We've included graphics overlay. This is a brand new thing. People have been asking this for a while from us. Hey, I just need a simple bug. I just want to do an overlay, a logo, the PTZOptics logo, right? Or the LiveU logo. That's what I want to do. That's all I need to do. I don't want to necessarily spend the money on LiveU Central graphics. Of course, we'd love you to, but if you just need to put a bug up, right? Well, now with graphics overlay, it's included in the software for free. Doesn't cost you a thing. You can actually put the overlay in, adjust the size, adjust the dynamics to it, right? Move it around the screen and place it there, and it's included in the software versus having to pay for the whole graphics package if you don't really need it. We've also included in the new 8.0 version, and another announcement at NAB was the tally. And the tally light is huge for people doing live like you guys do all the time, right? Am I on the air? Am I off the air? Am I on? Am I off? Well, now we have the tally light that goes with the LU600 and the 300 series. So when it's red, you're on in the air. That's normally what it is. And when it's green, actually it turns to green when you're streaming. So really cool. That's what we're showing here on the booth. A lot of people are able to see this and coming by and checking out the Solo, the 300, and the 600. So that's the main things that we're showing at the show at our booth, 4372. Stop by. There it is on the floor.
So we're using the LiveU Solo right now, so I don't know if you want to come over here and show your backpack, because a lot of times they can't actually see what it is. So let's take a look at this really quickly, George, and tell us about, this is kind of, what are we looking at here, George?
Yeah, so this is Jen Shaw from our marketing department. She is modeling the cool backpack, and actually this is her boss's personalized backpack, Claudia Barbiero. So she's getting to wear the really cool one. Yeah, check it out. It's got some different compartments that hold the different cables. This is, an upper compartment. We call this our IRL backpack, right? So IRL in real life, that's one of the coolest things going. And then over here is a little side pouch, right? Again, more storage. But this is where you're going to put the unit, right? You're going to put your LiveU Solo in here. This is also going to hold your tripod or your stick cam if you want to have for your different type of camera. Like Jen's using a Sony 4K camera, a little handy cam connected to her Solo unit on her belt pack. So everything fits neatly, very similar to what your guy's using here, although he's got a smaller little Sony camera that's mounted to his shoulder, right? So this is just a design backpack. We see a lot of people getting these, and they kind of customize them to their own way, or the way they want to use them, or how they're feeling, right? I mean, what they're doing. Some people just keep them plain and simple. Some people make them like that, put their customized logos on them. So it's a really cool design, and this IRLer type of motif, or this vertical, if you call it that, is really taking off. It's really amazing. So
can we take just another closer look at this LiveU Solo, because this is what we're using right now. I just want to show. So these two are cellular modems, and I understand that essentially what's happening here is that you have like an AT&T and a Verizon, so that you have multiple cellular services, so that your coverage is is better, essentially, correct?
Yeah, exactly. You want to use two different types of modems on your system, on your Solo. It works with Wi-Fi as well as Ethernet, right? So you can have that in the mix. But when you're using the different modems, the purpose of that is so you can not only do the bonding, but if one of your connection drops, right? Let's say you're using Verizon and AT&T, and all of a sudden Verizon has an outage, right? If that happens, you have AT&T there to back you up, and that's the whole purpose of using two different carriers versus using two of the same carrier. You want to have redundancy. You want to have reliability, right? That's the whole purpose of doing two different types of modems.
Cool. Well, at this point, what I'd like to do is walk you guys over to our booth, which is right over here, not far at all, show you how we're using the LU600, which we just talked about, in more of a studio environment, because I can't suggest enough to use this LiveU technology as a backup. Our internet's not working. Okay? We paid for it, actually. It was expensive. It's not working, and it happens to people over and over again. You get bit by the internet not working, and essentially you go, look, I want to have a LiveU Solo as a backup. This unit, let's talk a little bit about it, and then we'll show you how we're actually using it right now. We're live with the Solo and the LU600 so that we can swap back and forth between a studio environment and a mobile environment. I want to talk about some applications when we get over there, whether it's football, from a newscaster room, going live to the field, all kinds of applications. But tell us about this product before we go ahead and show it over at our booth.
Yeah, so the LU600 is our flagship product, right? It's a top-of-the-line product. It doesn't come with the Aquafina water bottle, but it does come with 7 built-in cellular modems, and these are dual SIM modems. And the dual SIM modems means that on the A side, they're domestic modems, so you can stream anywhere in the United States. And on the B side, it means that they're AT&T roaming SIMs. So they're sitting dormant when you're in the United States, right? And they're not being used at all. But if then you travel overseas, let's say, right, to 186 different countries, those can be activated simply by calling LiveU, and you can just turn those on and say you're going to go to Europe or you're going to go somewhere to Mexico or what have you. You can activate those roaming SIMs and just be streaming as soon as you get off the plane. So it's a really nice way of utilizing that system. Plus it has things like video return. It has other high-end features. This also features the tally that we just spoke about a few minutes ago. And one of those little things that helps solve the problem that you might be having where your internet's not working, it has data bridge mode. So you can switch this unit from a streaming device to a Uber hotspot with a push of a button, so it can become your data hotspot, if you will, and allow you to actually use it as a streaming device so you can connect to the internet and save the day, if you will, if your internet drops out on the show floor like here at InfoComm.
I'm going to have to ask you to show us that when we get over there, possibly. Hopefully it won't take too long. This device, I'm telling you, has saved us time and time again when the client tells us, oh yeah, we've got plenty of internet, and then there's 200 people using their phones with Wi-Fi, and yeah, they have internet, but it's not even worth it anything to you. So think about it. These are great products. I want to ask you about some use cases, but I want to sit down in the studio for that. So you want to head over there?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Come on over, Jennifer, and we'll go ahead and walk over to our booth. 2019 InfoComm Show. Your booth number is
4372.
4372. We're our 4115, I believe, so very close together.
Absolutely. Have you seen anything exciting at the show that's really knocked your socks off? I haven't had a chance to leave the booth yet.
You and I have that same issue where we don't even get to leave our own booths very often. So I will say that a lot of cool stuff's happening here. This is the biggest audio-visual show in the world.
It is. I think so, too.
So in the Pro AV space, the people that are coming up are very interesting. We're talking about professional audiovisual engineers from all over the country, all over the world. And at this show, more than others, I would say, these people really know their tech. They're coming up with questions that are highly advanced. And, I think that there's a lot of people that can't make it to the show. And so that's where our viewers are able to really get some of the in-depth look at and talk to some professionals like yourself, which I'm really happy about. So just let us know. We're listening to the chat. I'm actually getting text messages from questions. So we'll get your guys' questions answered about what type of technology you're using, whether it's live streaming or some type of audio-visual, because I want to talk about the different use cases. You guys get into everything from sports to music to production to emerging markets that I think a lot of the traditional Pro AV people at this show studio are maybe even unaware that are big untapped markets.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen today, too, in particular, aside from what you just mentioned, a lot of educators, too. A lot on the education side, which this is a great show for.
So right now, I just want to quickly show you guys how we're using the LU600. So what we've got here is right behind me here, we have the LU600. So you can see here, it's live streaming at 6,000 KB, so 6 megabits, which is considered highly, a very high quality stream. 1 or 2 megabits is not so good. 3, 4, you're getting there. 6 megabits is really good. So this is the LU600. We're streaming with it right now. Everything's looking really good. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and switch over to our multicam video production system here. So we're running vMix. vMix is taking an HDMI output from this computer, feeding it directly into the LU600, and that way we're able to stream and switch in the cloud between this mobile device and our studio. So Tess, if you want to go ahead and let's see, making sure everything's working here. If you want to go ahead and switch to our studio, George and I will go ahead over there, and you guys will see a switch between a totally mobile IRL, show the world anything you want, to a multi-camera produce system. So, a lot of people I think of you guys as mobile, get out of the world, but I think you guys also have a fair deal of space in the production studio environment as well.
Oh yeah, I mean that's one of our biggest verticals, and everybody loves using LiveU for that type of space, and it's a perfect solution. I love how you're doing this, going from a solo, which typically everybody thinks of just contribution and, it can only feed into a CDN environment, that's it. And I love how you're integrating it into a studio feed and doing it like this, because it's an unusual way of doing it. So it's a great way of using the technology. So,
all right, she's switching now. Let's go over to the studio. Okay, so one of the things we said we would do is we said that we would show, I wanted to talk a little bit about the use cases. Here we are at InfoComm, a lot of Pro AV, a lot of professional audiovisual integrators, whereas at NAB, we were talking more to video production experts, studios. It's a little bit different. Let's talk a little bit about these use cases on the Pro AV side, because I feel like a lot of the professional audiovisual integrators, when it gets into a broadcast and streaming opportunity, they're not quite sure. It's a little bit out of their realm. What are you seeing? Where are the opportunities for professional audiovisual?
Yeah, I think on the Pro AV side, it's more along the lines of using it in the at-home production workflow. There's a lot of professional AV opportunities in that sense, where we're sending people out using our gear to the field, right? Where they're taking packs like you just had, like either the more like the 300 rather, or the 600, and going out to do productions and sending them back. We were just talking, for example, to a high school that was doing commencement, and they wanted to have multiple units and field units around the campus, sending things back to a production center on the campus, where they would send it into a new tech TriCaster, for example, and then be able to integrate all that into a massive production using multiple cameras, and then being able to switch that live and send that out to everybody watching the commencement and then beyond, right? I think that's one example. And then I think there's a few other examples as well that would be good to examine for the Pro AV side, when you're talking about even in churches and house of worship as well.
So, yeah, and I totally agree. And I remember we were at the WFX show in Orlando, right, here, and that was a nice show to talk about churches, so I would like to mention that. Let's talk about churches for a minute. A lot of them are starting to live stream. Facebook is a way that they can extend their congregation's reach and get new members, but they also have a lot of members who are either homebound for whatever reason through a surgery or can't make it to church. And I wanted to talk a little bit about using the LiveU Solo not only in places where there's not great internet access and bandwidth, but also maybe outreach programs that the churches are involved in.
Yeah, I think the Solo is the perfect tool for something like that. A lot of churches have very simple needs to just get a stream out, as you mentioned, to increase the reach of the congregation, the homebound, and et cetera. And the Solo does an amazing job because, again, it can be for the simplest reach where it's just a single camera shoot where they're just really capturing the sermon and getting that out to the congregation and just getting it and making it very, very simplistic and just getting that message out to their congregation, as you said. But it also has the ability, as you're doing here with this live type of production, where you're able to take the SDI output or the HDMI output of a switched type of production, because some churches today are really full studio capable productions and very high end, but the Solo can be impactful there as well, in the sense that it can just take be the last step in that production environment where it can take that feed and just plug in and be the transport going out, a bonded transport, right? Mm-hmm. Where it's not just one Ethernet connection, but bonded transport going out to be sure it's reliable and a good solid connection going out to get to those constituents. And then the second thing that's important that we find in the house of worship phase is that it also allows the pastor and the kids and others in the congregation that when they go out in the community, they're actually able to go remote and share those community involvement things with their group and everybody else. So when the pastor goes out and does a home call or does something with the parishioners, that they're able to record it and share it with everybody, whereas before he'd just go out on his own and nobody would know about it, or maybe they'd read about it in the church bulletin, they could see it live, and I think that's always fun.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think you're hitting the nail on the head there. Very fun talking to all the churches at WFX show. But a lot of churches come to this show, surprisingly, and NAB as well.
Yes.
Because they're really interested in spreading the message of God, getting that word out there. And, that's really a core thing that they're involved in. Now, let me ask you a little bit about sports. I want to kind of segue to sports. Sure. Sports is very interesting. It's demanding in a lot of ways where sports want to have high frame rates. They want to be able to... And I want to talk about demanding sports applications, trying to do that at the high school level, trying to do that at the college level, where there might not be the biggest budget in the world, but they're finding that a lot of these products are becoming more affordable. And I was actually able to talk to a student who was able to get a scholarship from the live stream, be able to show that video to the scouts out there, and because a lot of scouts can't go to every game and they miss the game that they were playing in. So tell me a little bit about sports. I wonder, are people using the LiveU Solo to roam out onto the field and do interviews? Are they using it because that the press box doesn't have internet access and they're live streaming from the press box? What are you seeing in the sports arena?
Yeah, at the very lowest level, at the very entry level in high school and grade school, even at some levels of that nature, the Solo is a perfect match, and they're using it in every way that you just described, right? But more and more, you see sports organizations really starting to move from the Solo to our LU 200 and now 300 products, just because of all the capabilities that you see and the price points. We have a wonderful education program. Again, staying in that vein of education for a moment, we have an education program that is really amazing, that has great pricing, that makes it very affordable for education institutions to get into a LiveU system and setup that allows them to get more than one or two or a couple of units, where they're able to go out and do these at-home productions, being able to go out and start covering away games and doing much more than they used to be able to do, right? And we actually have a sports division in LiveU now that has really made huge inroads into the sports divisions, not just the division levels in colleges, but at the national levels of all the major sports networks. So we've seen a huge growth in that market for us as an organization, and I see that. I see every type of production happening, from the Solo level, as you just described, where they're just running and gunning and getting everything they can, to using our data bridge product for, getting internet when they need it. As you mentioned here, when it goes down, you might want to use the data bridge yourself. Yeah. And then just people really focusing on the at-home production workflow, where, again, it's the studio stays in the facility at the high school control room, right? But then they send the 2 or 3 packs that they may have on the road to cover the game, and then they're sending back the signal to the production facility, the control room. It never has to leave. It doesn't have to go out in a fly pack. You don't have to send everybody out, have all the expenses for hotels or lodging or whatever. And they use the LiveU precision timing, which is synchronizing all of the signals with the same delay, and it comes back to your server all in sync, right? And that's what a lot of people are doing in sports today. So it's a huge, huge growth market for us, and one of the biggest verticals, I think, at LiveU right now. I mean, we've always been known for broadcast, as you know, but I think sports has been taking off tremendously for us over the last year.
Yeah, I've been definitely catching up on that, and especially because, a lot of these schools and different places, they are places where there's no internet. It's a field, it's a soccer field, it's a lacrosse field, it's a football stadium. Internet may not be available there. So I can totally understand that. Now I want to segue into corporate business, what's going on there, and then I also want to talk to you guys out there who are video production studios, who are trying to, or maybe even freelancers, but let's start with business. What are you seeing out there? I know a lot of businesses are using live streaming technology to connect with their audience. So there's internal and external, right? There's internal corporate communications, there's external. What are you seeing in the business space, the corporate area?
Yeah, we've seen a lot over the last 12 months, in particular in the corporate world. Most recently, one of our customers, Toyota Motor Corporation of America, has been doing some amazing things using the LiveU technology. They do a monthly internal communications. That's the big point. If I had to pick one thing out that we see a lot of corporate people doing, it's a lot of internal communications. Everybody does external, right? They do external, but keeping their employees informed about what's going on in large corporations like a Toyota and others, that seems to be a key factor that everybody wants to do. And what Toyota does that's very, very unique, and they were one of our guests at NAB this year, is that they go around the country to every one of their manufacturing plants one time a month, and they do a worldwide meeting that is broadcast to all of their employees to show them how efficient they are and how they're improving efficiency every single month and at every factory, right? And then they do other things as well. But one of the key points is going around to these factories that are as massive as like 8 or 10 football fields. They're huge. And how they're doing it is, again, using this at-home production workflow model that's very popular in sports, but it's also popular in corporate because previously they'd been shipping out fly packs and sending out multiple people and doing all these other things. And now their headquarters is in Texas, and they have this beautiful control room, Ross switchers and beautiful replay machines and CGs and all of this high-end production equipment that you'd see in a broadcast facility. And now it's all there in this beautiful studio. The crew stays there. They just send their camera guys to these remote facilities, and they send everything back and do this once a month, and they love it. They just love the ability to do that. Now they're going, outside of the U.S. They're going to Canada. They're going to other plants that they've never even thought about doing it because it's much more affordable, easier to use. So we're seeing that happen more and more in the corporate space, and they're increasing the level of communications to their internal groups, which is nice to see, and it's really something really I think that the people are getting money back from. I think they're seeing a nice return on their investment, and keeping people informed in a company is always important, right?
Oh yeah, that makes so much sense, and I'm glad you have a real live case study like Toyota to share, because it really drives that message home of how easy it is to start live streaming and doing video production, but now being able to bring that into, corporations are actually saying, hey, we can afford to do this, we can use this technology, not necessarily using a third-party company now. They're taking it in-house. They're taking responsibility for having their own broadcast studio, so I find that very interesting, and I think we have time to talk about one more. I feel like you guys are really the leaders in this space. I want to talk about your program for freelancers, connecting freelancers with networks. I know I've talked to Claudia about this before, and I really think it's interesting. So if you are a freelancer or a video production company, I understand a lot of your customers are going out to shoot the royal wedding are going out to shoot a very high-profile live stream, and you guys have the ability to connect them with television networks that will actually pay them for that footage. Can you explain a little bit about that program?
Yeah, it's not so much pay them for the footage per se, but what it is called LiveU Community.
Okay.
And it's really about connecting our community of LiveU freelancers and LiveU users, if you will, with those networks. It's mostly networks, right? Because the networks, all of the U.S. networks in the United States, right? I'm being redundant there, but they all use LiveU. They have LiveU. They all have LiveU servers, so they can take a feed. So the LiveU server is the decoder, right? So they could take a feed from like your LU600, anybody's LU600, anybody's backpack, right? So what they're doing is these networks are hungry for footage, right? Whether it's breaking news, whether it's the royal wedding or some other event or activity, right? They're just hungry for content. So what LiveU Community does is it allows us to be a conduit, a connection, if you will, for LiveU professionals that have the gear, that have the technology, and more importantly, the capability. That somebody that has light kits, that somebody that has microphones and is a professional in the industry but has a LiveU and knows how to use it, they want to be working as a freelancer with NBC or ABC or CNN. And what we're doing is connecting them as part of this community and saying, hey, George Klippel is a freelance photojournalist, and he's got this type of camera, he's got this kind of light kit, he's a certified drone pilot, and he's located in Chicago, Illinois, and he's available. And NBC sees that I'm there, and I've got credentials, and I've worked for CNN and Univision and MSNBC or whatever, and they can say, oh, wow, he's there, there's breaking news, let's hire him, let's get him as a stringer, or let's bring him in for a freelance job. We're going to do the Today Show out of there. We're going to do this over there. And that's what it is. It's a community of these freelancers. We're connecting them with the networks so they can have a relationship and then build this community where they're able to work together and seamlessly connect and really provide each other with a service. And it's worked out really, really well. So anybody that's a freelancer that has LiveU that wants to get into this should look up LiveU Community because it's a really great program.
Cool. We covered a lot of ground. We got a chance to show your booth, talk a lot about a lot of great markets out there. So thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. George, I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, as always. Great to see you.
Good to see you, too. All right, that's our show, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been live from the 2019 InfoComm Show in Orlando, Florida. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like this video, share it with somebody out there who you think would be interested, and thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. You could be watching something else, but you're getting informed on some of the latest technology at the largest audiovisual show called InfoComm. So thank you, everybody. Take care.